Kevin Hunter, the man behind the headlines, is finally speaking out. He's revealing the shocking reasons why he left Sharina Hudson, why he abandoned her in a moment of struggle that left her relying on welfare. This isn't just another celebrity breakup story. It's a tale of betrayal, heartbreak, and consequences that no one expected. And what he's about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, responsibility, and the people we call family. You won't believe what happened next. This isn't just another story about a breakup. It's a revelation that cuts deep into family drama, personal choices, and shocking decisions that left lives in turmoil. Kevin Hunter, a name synonymous with influence and notoriety, has now come forward to explain why he ended things with Sharina Hudson, leaving her to face struggles many of us can barely imagine. In this video, we're diving into the untold story behind the headlines. You'll get the rare insider perspective that shows what really happened, from the tensions that built up behind closed doors to the moment Kevin decided to walk away. This is where the story takes a turn that most people never saw coming, a decision that left Sharina in welfare, facing challenges that most of us would find unimaginable. You won't just hear about the breakup, you'll understand the complex emotions, hidden pressures, and personal choices that led to it. The story is raw, emotional, and full of unexpected twists, showing a side of Kevin Hunter and Sharina Hudson that mainstream coverage rarely touches. And just when you think you've heard it all, the revelations that follow will challenge your assumptions and leave you questioning. What would you do in their shoes? But before we uncover the full fallout, let's go back to the beginning and explore the events that led to this shocking split. The decisions, tensions, and moments of conflict that set everything in motion. The story of Kevin Hunter and Sharina Hudson didn't start or end overnight. It was the culmination of years of tension, unspoken frustrations, and decisions made behind closed doors. To the outside world, they were a couple navigating life together. But the truth was far more complicated. Friends and insiders described a relationship that was increasingly strained, where communication broke down and misunderstandings piled up until they became impossible to ignore. According to sources close to the situation, Kevin began feeling trapped by circumstances he didn't fully disclose at the time. Long before the dramatic breakup, small cracks had started appearing in their relationship. Arguments that seemed minor on the surface were actually signs of deeper issues. Disagreements over financial decisions, life priorities, and the responsibilities each expected the other to uphold. For Sharina, the struggles were tangible, daily challenges that required support, stability, and partnership. For Kevin, pressures related to reputation, personal choices, and private ambitions played a significant role in shaping his decisions. Behind the public facade, tension had reached a boiling point. Friends who remained loyal to both sides described moments of conflict that escalated quickly, with words exchanged that would leave lasting emotional scars. It wasn't just a matter of personal disagreements. There were fundamental differences in expectations, responsibilities, and visions for the future that neither party could reconcile. What makes this part of the story especially shocking is how these tensions eventually led to a pivotal choice. Kevin Hunter, despite his position, influence, and awareness of the consequences, made a decision that would alter both of their lives forever. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment choice. It was a decision born from months, perhaps years, of mounting frustration and contemplation. The tipping point came when Sharina was facing challenges that demanded support. According to insiders, she needed guidance, emotional backing, and sometimes financial help. Kevin's decision to step away during this period shocked many who assumed that loyalty and commitment would prevail. And this is where the story takes a darker turn. Because leaving Sharina wasn't just a breakup. It was leaving her in a vulnerable position, relying on welfare and external aid to navigate the hardships she now faced alone. But what happened next changed everything. The public would soon hear about the split, but the true reasons behind Kevin's decision remained largely hidden, until now. And the revelations that follow go far beyond what tabloids or gossip columns have shared, exposing motivations, pressures, and truths that few were willing to speak about. When Kevin Hunter finally revealed why he left Sharina Hudson, the explanation sent shockwaves through fans, friends, and the media alike. According to Kevin, the decision wasn't made lightly. It was the culmination of frustration, personal boundaries, and a complex web of circumstances that he says forced him to step away. Sources close to Kevin suggest that he faced mounting pressure, financial, emotional, and social, that made continuing the relationship increasingly difficult. While outsiders may have assumed the split was sudden or heartless, insiders paint a picture of a man grappling with intense internal conflict. Every day seemed to present new challenges, disagreements over finances, differing expectations for family support, and growing tensions over life goals that were no longer aligned. Kevin reportedly felt trapped, struggling to reconcile his responsibilities with the increasing demands of the relationship. The moment of decision came during a period of vulnerability for Sharina. At a time when she needed stability and assistance, Kevin chose to step away, leaving her to navigate a harsh reality that included relying on welfare and outside support. This choice, he explains, was not about malice or indifference. It was a calculated, albeit controversial move, driven by personal boundaries and self-preservation. For Kevin, the relationship had become unsustainable, and he believed that leaving was the only option that would allow him to continue moving forward in his own life. The fallout, however, was immediate and intense. Friends, family, and the public reacted with shock and anger. Social media erupted with debates, judgment, and speculation. Supporters of Sharina criticized Kevin for what they perceived as abandonment and a lack of empathy, while some of Kevin's defenders argued that he made a difficult choice for reasons only he could fully understand. It became a story not just of a breakup, but of moral judgment, loyalty, and personal responsibility. Inside the household and among those closest to the situation, the emotional impact was profound. Sharina reportedly faced feelings of betrayal, shock, and vulnerability, struggling to cope with the reality of being left in a precarious situation. Kevin, on the other hand, faced scrutiny, judgment, and the weight of explaining a controversial decision in a way that could be understood, but not necessarily forgiven by the public. What makes this part of the story especially compelling is the moral tension it exposes. Can leaving someone in need ever be justified, even when personal limits are pushed to the breaking point? Kevin's decision forced both parties, and the public, to grapple with questions of duty, empathy, and the complex balance between personal boundaries and responsibility to others. And yet, despite the criticism, Kevin maintains that this decision, difficult as it was, allowed both him and Sharina to move forward in ways that might not have been possible otherwise. But what happened next added another layer of complexity, a ripple effect of social scrutiny, public perception, and private struggles that few were prepared for. The story doesn't stop with Kevin's explanation. It's about the aftermath, the emotional, financial, and social consequences that followed, and the ways in which this decision reshaped both of their lives. And the revelations that come next are even more surprising, exposing hidden reactions, unexpected allies, and consequences that neither Kevin nor Sharina could have anticipated. Once Kevin Hunter's revelations about leaving Sharina Hudson became public, the story exploded. Social media platforms became battlegrounds of opinion, with fans, critics, and casual observers weighing in on what quickly turned into a heated national conversation. Hashtags began trending, discussion threads multiplied, and the story moved beyond gossip. It became a debate about morality, responsibility, and human behavior in high-stakes relationships. For many, the public reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Followers questioned how someone could leave a partner in need, forcing her onto welfare while he pursued personal freedom and self-preservation. Critics accused Kevin of selfishness and a lack of empathy, painting a picture of abandonment that resonated emotionally with audiences across social platforms. Videos, commentaries, and articles dissected every aspect of the breakup, analyzing timelines, motivations, and even speculating on behind-the-scenes interactions. Yet not all reactions were negative. Some observers sympathized with Kevin's position, acknowledging the difficult choices he had to make under pressure. Supporters argued that the decision, while controversial, was grounded in real-life complexity, the reality that personal boundaries and mental health sometimes necessitate difficult, even unpopular decisions. These supporters emphasized that relationships are nuanced, and public judgment often oversimplifies private struggles that few truly understand. Media coverage amplified the story further. News outlets, entertainment commentators, and online platforms highlighted the more sensational aspects of the split: Sharina's reliance on welfare, Kevin's candid explanation, and the moral debate surrounding the decision. Interviews with insiders painted a vivid picture of tension, conflict, and heartbreak, giving audiences a deeper understanding of the human consequences behind the headlines. Every article and segment added to the momentum, drawing attention to the broader conversation about accountability, loyalty, and the realities of personal responsibility. Amid this intense scrutiny, both Kevin and Sharina experienced a profound shift in public perception. Kevin, once primarily recognized for his influence and achievements, faced a surge of criticism and emotional backlash, forcing him to defend his actions and explain his reasoning. Sharina, meanwhile, became the focal point of empathy and concern, with audiences reflecting on the emotional and financial challenges she endured in the aftermath. Their story became a lens through which many viewed broader societal issues, the responsibilities we owe to loved ones, the judgment of public opinion, and the harsh realities of navigating relationships under scrutiny. And yet, the most surprising element of this public reaction wasn't just the outrage or the support. It was the ripple effect it had on their private lives. Friends, family, and close associates found themselves pulled into the conversation, dealing with questions, assumptions, and moral judgment from the wider community. For Kevin, the scrutiny highlighted the challenges of balancing personal decisions with public accountability. For Sharina, the attention brought both support and additional pressure as she navigated a life altered in an instant. But just when the story seemed fully revealed, another shocking layer emerged. Unseen interactions, private conversations, and unexpected perspectives began surfacing, exposing truths that no one anticipated. These revelations didn't just add drama, they fundamentally changed how the public understood the breakup, the reasoning behind Kevin's choice, and the long-term consequences for both individuals. And what happened next would continue to shape their story, offering lessons about accountability, loyalty, and the human capacity to make difficult, sometimes controversial decisions. The ripple effects of Kevin Hunter's choice weren't limited to headlines. They touched lives, stirred emotions, and ignited conversations that continue to this day. While the initial controversy dominated headlines and social media feeds, the real story was unfolding behind the scenes. A story of emotional fallout, life-altering consequences, and personal growth for both Kevin Hunter and Sharina Hudson. What many viewers saw as a simple breakup was, in reality, a turning point that reshaped their lives in profound ways. For Sharina, the consequences were immediate and tangible. Left in a position of vulnerability, she had to navigate the challenges of financial instability, emotional turmoil, and public scrutiny all at once. Reliant on welfare and support systems that many take for granted, Sharina faced a harsh reality that tested her resilience and strength. Friends describe this period as one of intense struggle, where every decision carried weight and every step forward required courage. The heartbreak of feeling abandoned was compounded by the pressure of public attention, as she became a symbol for discussions about morality, loyalty, and the responsibilities of powerful individuals to those they leave behind. For Kevin Hunter, the long-term consequences were just as significant, albeit in a different way. Beyond the immediate criticism and backlash, the situation forced him to confront the ethical and emotional dimensions of his choices. Supporters and critics alike scrutinized his motives, his character, and the principles guiding his actions. Navigating this scrutiny required a careful balance between defending his reasoning and acknowledging the human consequences of leaving Sharina in such a vulnerable position. Sources close to him suggest that the experience was a sobering reminder of how personal decisions can have far-reaching implications, extending well beyond what we might anticipate in the moment. The emotional toll on both parties cannot be overstated. Sharina reportedly experienced a mixture of anger, disappointment, and heartbreak, compounded by the realization that public opinion could not fully empathize with her experience. Kevin, meanwhile, had to carry the weight of judgment, questions about his morality, and the lingering impact of his decision on his personal and professional reputation. Both individuals were thrust into a spotlight they could not escape, forced to navigate the collision of private struggles and public perception. But beyond the personal consequences, this story sparked broader conversations about accountability, responsibility, and the complexities of human relationships. Viewers began asking difficult questions. Can leaving someone in need ever be justified? How do we balance personal boundaries with the responsibility we owe to others, particularly in intimate relationships? What lessons can we draw from situations where public figures face moral scrutiny for deeply personal decisions? The ripple effects extended even further, touching the communities and networks surrounding Kevin and Sharina. Friends, family, and associates were caught in the crossfire of judgment, speculation, and moral debate. Many struggled to reconcile the public narrative with what they knew privately, highlighting the tension between perception and reality in high-profile personal conflicts. And yet, within this turbulence, there were lessons to be learned. Kevin Hunter's decision, while controversial, underscores the importance of acknowledging personal limits and understanding that difficult choices sometimes carry consequences we cannot fully control. Sharina Hudson's experience reminds us of resilience, the capacity to face hardship, adapt, and rebuild in the wake of unexpected abandonment. Together, their story illustrates the complexity of human relationships, how choices ripple outward, how public scrutiny magnifies private pain, and how accountability and empathy intersect in ways that challenge both participants and observers. The story of Kevin Hunter leaving Sharina Hudson is more than a tabloid headline. It's a profound look at human behavior, morality, and the difficult decisions that shape our lives. What many initially saw as a simple breakup is, in reality, a narrative filled with tension, heartbreak, and life-altering consequences. This story forces us to examine the complexity of relationships, the weight of responsibility, and the ripple effects of choices that affect not just two people, but everyone around them. For Sharina, the experience highlighted resilience in the face of abandonment. Forced to rely on welfare and navigate emotional and financial hardships, she faced challenges that tested her strength and determination. Her journey reminds us that vulnerability, while painful, can also be a source of growth, self-discovery, and empowerment. The public eye may have amplified her struggle, but her ability to endure reflects a universal truth. Life often demands courage in moments of despair. For Kevin, the situation revealed the moral and emotional weight of decision-making under pressure. His choice to leave was controversial, sparking judgment, debate, and scrutiny. But it also highlights the reality that even high-profile individuals face limits, pressures, and personal boundaries that influence their actions. The fallout illustrates how every choice carries consequences, both seen and unseen, and how navigating the balance between personal needs and relational responsibility is never straightforward. Beyond the individuals, this story sheds light on the broader human experience. It raises questions about accountability, loyalty, and the ethics of leaving someone in need. It prompts reflection on the ways society judges actions without fully understanding context, and how public perception can differ dramatically from private reality. It challenges viewers to think critically about moral responsibility, empathy, and the ways we interact with those we care about, particularly in moments of struggle. Ultimately, the saga of Kevin Hunter and Sharina Hudson is a story of lessons learned, resilience tested, and perspectives challenged. It's a reminder that human relationships are rarely simple, that choices have far-reaching effects, and that navigating personal boundaries while honoring responsibilities is a delicate, often painful, balancing act. So, what do you think? Was Kevin justified in his decision, or should loyalty and support have outweighed his personal limits? Could you make a similar choice if you were in his position? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective on this complex story. If you found this story compelling, thought-provoking, or eye-opening, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more in-depth explorations of trending controversies, and share it with someone who wants to understand the human side of celebrity decisions. And stay tuned for our next video, where we'll uncover another story filled with drama, shocking revelations, and lessons that go far beyond the headlines.